get a copy of what he's reading?
Oh, we sort of chair.
Yeah, I'll have her print one and bring one over.
We're gonna need a chair too.
Yep.
Rod, I've got a question for you afterwards about the generator.
Okay.
Don't let me forget.
Don't forget that consulting fee, friends.
You're the boss now, tell me no.
Okay. I would like to, call the Great Falls International Airport Authority Board meeting to order here. I would like to remind everybody the mission of the Great Falls International Airport Authority is to optimize transportation services and development in our region. The vision of the Great Falls International Airport Authority is to maximize the airport's benefit to our region. Welcome, and please remember that that this board appreciates participation from the public. If you have comments throughout the board meeting or the work session, please stand, state your name and address, and your comments will be heard. Okay, I shall do a roll call. Or do I do a swearing in first?
Go ahead and do your roll call.
And do I include the non-sworn members?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Hall.
Present.
Commissioner Dave, I don't remember her last name.
Smith.
Smith. Smith. Are you here?
I'm doing fine. And your name is
Commissioner
what?
Swarthwood. Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Gibbs.
Here.
Commissioner Whiting.
Here.
Commissioner Hogan is here. So let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. We moved it. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, it is with great enthusiasm and appreciation I welcome Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Hall to this board. And with that, if you two gentlemen would come to the front here, and we'll do the swearing in. So now I am going to let you read this with your right hand up in the air.
Out loud?
Out loud. And actually, if you want to turn to the camera so everybody can see your lovely face. And you can do it simultaneously if you like.
I'll just let him go. I, Robert David Smith, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Montana, and that I will discharge the duties of my office of Commissioner in and for the Great Falls International Airport Authority of Great Falls, Montana, with fidelity. Signature.
I, Rod Hall, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and Constitution of the State of Montana, and that I will discharge the duties of my office of Commissioner and in and for Great Falls International Airport Authority of Great Falls, Montana, with fidelity.
Thank you. Welcome to the board, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So, I just want to state for the record that we are quite fortunate to have both Commissioner Hall and Commissioner Smith joining this board. They bring an incredible wealth of aviation experience to this board. Great Falls International Airport Authority is blessed to have you with us, so thank you for your time, gentlemen. So, consent agenda. The consent agenda is made up of routine day-to-day items that require board action but do not appear to have significant public impact. Items may be pulled from the consent agenda for separate discussion, vote by any board member. Items are approval of board meeting minutes from August 2025, payroll checks totaling $156,774.26 for August 2025, maintenance and operations checks $29,194 to $29,250, totaling $302,584.92 for August 2025. Approval of passenger facility charge totaling $61,669.25 for August 2025, and financial reports for August 2025. Does any board member want to pull any of the items off the consent agenda? All right, having heard none, I would entertain a motion.
Move we accept the consent agenda as written.
All right,
A second.
I have a first and a second. Is there any additional discussion? All right, having heard none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion passes. That brings us to the director's report.
Yes, thank you. Happy September, everybody. First of all, just commenting on the financials. As you can see if you look through the reports, the passenger-related activities are escalated. Summer's obviously our busiest time of year, so the first few months of the year we do quite well. We've talked about it before, but in the summertime we're in balance towards the inbound. So you'll see rental cars revenue is quite a bit above budget, while parking revenue is slightly below budget. That's a normal pattern for us. Parking will actually pick up this month and actually reaches its peak in the early spring. So we'll catch up to the parking budget later in the year. But rental cars right now are well ahead of budget, along with food and some of the other passenger-related activities. The FIS fees, that's the new fee we put in place last year, well ahead of budget. Again, summer is going to be our busiest time of year because many of the folks that are flying through the summer may not be weather rated. So we'll see a decline in that throughout the rest of the year, we would imagine. We'll continue to monitor that vis-a-vis the costs that we have associated with that cost center. But for the most part, financials look good. We're ahead of plan right now on revenue. On the expense side, kind of a similar trend. Summertime tends to have a lot of activities we try to get done. You'll see cleaning supplies are quite a bit above plan. We're switching vendors. We have switched vendors. We've got to keep an eye on that to kind of see if we're saving anything there. So far, we're well over budget on those cleaning supplies. Lawn, fire supplies, those types of things are things we get done in the summertime, so you see those are above budget. Also, the electricity bill with the air conditioning is quite high in the summertime. The rest of the year, we'll start to see that go down, and the gas bill, which is way below budget, will pick up quickly. So, and days like this, as we start to make that transition, we'll start to see those different expense categories change. On the reserve side, if you look at the reserve page, we've got about 11.2 million in reserves, which is close to probably the highest we've had. We'll begin drawing down on that. We've got quite a few expenses coming up, so we'll begin to see that balance start to decline. Probably not much below 10 million, but we certainly have quite a few bills outstanding that we'll start to pull on that some. On the CIP side, on the West Concourse, if you've been past that and taken a look, you can see they have the floors completely torn out underneath the old bridge there. It was not enclosed. That's completely taken out now. The footings spread footings are pretty well excavated. And we should start to see some of that foundation work even this week as they form that up and get ready for concrete. Tilt-up walls show up in about 2 weeks. So here in about 3 weeks, that bottom will be pretty much built. And they'll start to erect those walls, and we'll begin to see the new shape of the concourse taking shape out there, so that's really exciting. On the inside, they've torn out the ceiling, that age-old ceiling we had up there that was kind of a mess. It was friction fit, unlike these that have a grid network. So getting up there to do work was really taxing. A lot of the panels would fall out as you tried to access different areas of that ceiling. So that's been excavated. The asbestos has been abated. And so the crews are in there right now getting started with some of the refresh work in that area while they wait for the new space to get opened up. Tilted Falls SRE building, concrete foundations are supposed to start being poured this week. So they're in the process of getting framed out over there so we get the foundation walls up. We haven't seen any metal, I don't know anything showing up this week, Brian.
No,
24th.
24th?
that's correct.
Oh, good. So we should start to see the metal appearing on site and hopefully shortly starting to get erected, which is really good. And we're hoping to be in that building in February, which would be ideal, kind of hit the meat of the winter season. The crane, you may recall last year the board approved a crane for that building. Bids are due today. So far we've gotten one. So hopefully we'll get a couple and then get that crane in here shortly, which is exciting. Let's see. Other news. We met with the airlines just last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? But we met with all the current airlines and some potential new airlines. The story is much the same as it's been for a few years. No one has airplanes. Everyone has them on order. But it does look like 26 is still going to be a catch-up year for a lot of the airlines. As Southwest still doesn't have as much capacity as they had a few years ago. Sun Country doesn't have quite as much capacity as they had a few years ago. As the airlines continue to try to catch up to the plane shortage we had. But in terms of what that means for us, Delta says they can't find a regional jet for Minneapolis, and most likely this summer, so we'll not have Minneapolis back in 26. That's the current plan. In reaction to that, I think we're likely to see more ORE flights next summer. So United is looking at adding some additional iterations of that ORE flight we have in the summertime. We also have a couple other carriers that are kicking the tires a little bit harder right now. We're still talking to several of them about 26. We'll see, as I said, no one really has an abundance of planes. Again, everyone's saying 27 looks brighter. We'll see the economic conditions, as you know, last spring were reportedly softening, but doesn't look like the dramatic softening that the airlines were expecting last March has occurred. So hopefully traffic will continue to hold up. Everyone reported we had an extremely strong summer, which is really positive. We did fill up most of the Salt Lake capacity finally. It's taken us several years to amortize those additional seats. I'll just remind everybody that with the transition to 50 seats to 76 seats means 28,000 additional seats in Great Falls per year to Salt Lake. So it's a dramatic increase in the number of seats. So even this fall, without Minneapolis, Delta still has about 6% more capacity on those bigger planes to Salt Lake, even without the Minneapolis capacity that they had in previous years. Still amortizing those additional seats. I'm proud to announce we're going to be welcoming, in fact we have signed a lease with a new aviation company that will be bringing their business here to Great Falls. We're going to make an announcement later this month as they occupy our old snow building. They'll be moving out of that a few months early, and they'll be moving into the 3 bays we have over there. They're going to be using the office and the bathroom at the other end of the building. Adamax occupies the bays in between, the addition, which has its own firewall and everything, and then the original building, and then the bathroom and the office are at the end of the original building. So they'll have a little distance to go to the bathroom and get to their office, but they're pretty excited to be moving up here. That'll be about, we figured $17,000 a year in new rent. Is that right, Laura? Should have written that one down. $17,000, I'm pretty sure, a year in new rent, and that company plans to expand. They need a toehold in the country right now. They're a Canadian company, With tariffs coming on board, they need to get a footprint, and then their plan is to expand. So they're looking at some hangar options here at the airport, which is on the agenda a little bit later. May ultimately have more than one hangar here, also looking at the potential for some condos later down the road. The company owns several different companies that are aviation related, so the plan is to kind of get in, and then as their business needs more footprint to expand here in Great Falls. So we're pretty excited about that, having them come on board, and they'll start occupying that building in November. So we'll have, they're going to come back to town here shortly, and we'll have some type of announcement, maybe a Facebook Live again, to announce them coming to Great Falls. So pretty exciting stuff there. On 10/7, I'll be before the City Council to pursue our TIF proposal. We have a development agreement that we have to execute today. Once we have that done, I can report to the City Council that we've agreed to the development agreement, and then we'll have our hearing on 10/7. That will bring about $300,000 to help with the extension of those utilities. As we talked about before, we're trying to connect the SRE stubs that we built 10 years ago to the stubs that we built with the Peterbilt occupied condos that are there now. And once we have that done, we'll have enough space for 2 more condo buildings, and then about 25 more acres of development land. One of those lots is going prolific, which we announced earlier this spring, Terminal 360 right there. And then we have several other lots that are still open for development, and we received quite a few calls about that. So once we get the utilities kind of underway, I think those spots will eventually lease up. Fleet maintenance is going to be moving out of our old shop building, what we call the upper shop, effective at the beginning of October potentially. They've been in there for about 5 years or so, and they're consolidating their business into their Black Eagle operation. If you've tried to get a car fixed since the pandemic, you know we're short on mechanics in Great Falls right now. I know my mechanic lost his mechanic, so I've had to change mechanics several times, and so it's really tough right now to find mechanics in Great Falls, and they're having a similar problem. So they're going to be consolidating out of there. As soon as we can get in there and take some pictures, we'll be putting that out on LoopNet, and that's about 6,000 square feet, Laura? I get this number wrong.
5950.
Yeah, it's close, 6,000 square feet. About 6,000 square feet, leases for $525. I think at that rate, it might be actually the cheapest industrial space in Great Falls. And so I'm sure we'll get it leased up and hopefully bring it under company up here to the airport. Avenue B, we did pull that from the agenda. We had planned to talk about that today, but we'll talk about that in October, just to kind of brief the board where we are on that. The MDT is just about done with their design on the new roundabout on our side, the interstate, obviously with pulling an overpass and roundabout on the other side, but the part that impacts us is that new roundabout is going to change the alignment of the entry road. Ideally, if we could figure out how to do it, we would pave at the same time they're paving our projects, so that we could reduce some of the cold joints that we have out there and transition points and everything else. They will need some land from us. I just saw their drawing last week, and they need a little bit of land, so we'll work out with them how that gets transacted in order to get them what they need for that roundabout. The Airport Avenue B, once the roundabout goes in, we've got to pave our entry road. You probably noticed there's some opening seams, pretty bad over there near Love's. Ideally, if we can work out an agreement to close Airport Avenue B, the new entrance would be the Love's entrance. That was built to be kind of a commercial entrance. And then we have a transferable easement for the road behind the 911 center. Airport Avenue B does not align with the intersections across from it currently. And if you've been over there, you know that it gives a straight shot to the gate, so Mang would like it closed. The bigger problem it causes for us is the FAA's rules don't allow us to use federal dollars on the part of the road from any private access back to the interstate. So the way that manifests today, we have 2 lanes coming in. In previous discussions, it sounded like maybe the FAA would be agreeable that only one of the inbound lanes would be ineligible, because you really can't use the left lane. So maybe the right lane would be ineligible all the way to Airport Avenue B. And then on the way out, we only have 1 lane. So the entirety of the exit road from wherever that private access is back to the interstate is ineligible. So that's probably somewhere between $500,000 on the low end of ineligible work. Potentially, if it stayed the way it is right now, it might even be $800,000 more. of the work is gonna end up being ineligible. We have no funding source for that. And so that is a challenge. Obviously, the folks that own private land down there hate this idea, right? We all hate change. And so they would like to continue to get their access, I think unilaterally, is what that would be. And then on top of that, the city, at some point in the 80s, they say they gave a public right-of-way on that road. The problem with that is really the origin of the property. How was it purchased? You know, how did it come into the city ownership? Because if it was bought with federal dollars, airports can't give land for anything. We can't get the city an easement for a utility line across the property or anything like that. We have to charge for that, and there has to be some property right created. So a whole ball of wax that we'll be diving into in the next couple of months. The next board meeting will have that item on the work session, so we'll get a chance to talk to it then, and probably have maybe some landowners that might come. So I'm sure it'll be an exciting time. But that'll be discussed next month in a work session. With that, I don't have anything else on the director's report.
All right. Any questions for the director? Okay. Well, the first item is a possible litigation where I am going to close the meeting. This is one of the few times where the interest of the airport outweighs that of the public's right to know. So if everybody could, who are not a part of the board, could exit, please. We will call you shortly.
You said that last
Well, we get distracted.
And guess what? It may be 45 minutes ahead. Yours shortly and
Let me
mine.
close the door.
You want to turn off?
If you don't mind.
And let's jump back in.
Yeah, that would be a Hello, Papa.
So let's get some coffee.
Well, good